In this episode, we'll show you how to transform an old and crusty wheel looking like this and turn it into something that looks like this.
Welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be working on this Honda Africa Twin. Has come in for a couple of reasons, but two of them are the wheels, the front and the back wheel. They are heavily corroded, so we'll be putting on new wheels, new spokes, blasting the hubs, powder coating them. So I'll show you how I do that. As you can see, heavily corroded. There's quite a few spots, but that was the worst one. Here you can see crack. Another very bad spot. So that's the anodization that gives up. And it rots from the inside. Front wheel is not as bad, but as you can see the spokes are corroded. So we'll be giving this bike 2 new wheels. So first we're going to take the rear sprocket carrier off and the rear wheel disc. Take the tire off and then I'll go from there. So obviously the rear tire is pretty worn out as well, so we'll be replacing it with a new one once everything is finished. You can see totally crumbling apart. So since we have all new spokes and a new wheel, we'll just cut the old spokes out. So the hub is now completely clean, blasted, no more paint, no more grease. But before we can powder coat it, we'll put it in the oven, because this is a aluminum part and an old aluminum part. It's necessary you heat it up to about 200 degrees Celsius for about half an hour before you put powder coat on it. It's a process called outgassing, because the aluminum has some pores in it. They can contain grease, dirt or other things, and they might pop open in the oven. So we do it without powder first, so when the pores open, there's nothing to be messed up. If you wouldn't do this, you put powder on it, put it in the oven, all the gases start coming out and it'll completely ruin your paint, your powder and your part as well. Just gonna clean up the disc in the vapor blaster, because we just want to clean it and not mess up the pad, the brake pad surface. So let's go ahead and do that. So the hub has now cured in the oven for half an hour. So we'll just go and mask up the areas where we don't want powder. Over here it's just simple, just these two bearing surfaces and 4 holes where the brake disc bolts go. So everything is cured and cooled down. I've already placed one bearing in. We're gonna get it into place with the hydraulic press. Same for the other side. Don't forget the spacer that's in between. So all there's left to do is put the last seal in. New one, of course. Should normally just press into place. So that's the hub all finished, ready for new spokes and the wheel. Set of stainless steel spokes and nipples. And a shiny new wheel. So we now have all the ingredients for a new wheel. You have to pay attention, there's 3 types of spokes in the rear wheel. They all differ with a few millimeters. The left hand side has 16, which are all the same. Those are the longest ones, so that's where we will start. These wheels are quite simple to build as they are straight spokes, as you can see. Other wheels might have bent spokes which you have to then bend into the wheel. And then you have to actually put all the spokes in the hub in one time. Here we can just feed one spoke at a time, then do the other, flip it around. So no spokes are interfering with each other. So that's the first set of spokes in its place. See, you feed one and then you leave 3, next spoke, 3, next spoke, and you go all the way around. And then we do the other 8 spokes on this side. So that's one side done. Same, feed the spoke through, put the nipple on, 1, 2, 3, next one, 1, 2, 3, next one. Go all the way around. So for these two types. It's only, I think, about 4 millimeter in difference, but the smaller ones go on the inside, the larger ones go on the top side. So it's see, these ones are lower than the other ones, so the lower ones are the smallest spokes. So we'll do the lower ones first. So the wheel is now complete. Now let's start truing the wheel. So I have the wheel mounted up on the truing stand. We'll go ahead and do the entire wheel first. Turn them all in until we have every spoke on the same amount of stick out. I usually leave about 2 or 3 windings out, and then from there you can see what else we have to do. Well, I'll have to talk about the windings out. We'll each other. So as you can see, it's actually not bad to start with. There's almost no height wobble, because that's actually the first thing you have to adjust, so that the wheel goes like this. So you have 2 movements that have to be corrected, up and down movement and the side movement. But the up and down movement, well, actually There's not much I can do about it because it's close to perfect. So we only have to address the side here. I'm not sure how clear this will be on video. You can see this side goes out, then goes back in. So that's what we have to correct. Actually, it's not that bad at all for an untrue wheel. So it's not very clear. So how do we do that? You have the spokes on this side, spokes on that side. So you have two pieces of tape here, and you check which side goes out, which side goes in. So the wheel has to be straight. So the side that goes out too much, you have to pull inwards. So you have to pull the wheel itself to the other side, and you do that by tightening these spokes. If the wheel has to go to the outside, you tighten these spokes. So you pull the wheel towards the hub. So you go around the wheel until everything is true, and then you start tightening the spokes to the correct torque. Now that the wheel is through, we're going to use this one. This is actually a torque wrench. It's about 4 Newton meters to tighten every spoke. You can't go around, do one by one, because then you will pull the wheel to one side and lose all the work for the truing. So we do one, skip 3. We go all the way around, use the next one. Go leave 3, do the next one. So that way you tighten them in a crisscross pattern and not pull the wheel to one side. So we're going to start here at the hole for the inner tire, so that way we know where we start. One other very important measurement you have to take is the offset for the wheel to the hub. So before I started, I put the wheel on a flat surface and I measured the distance from the edge of the rim to the surface. So that was about 2.4 centimeters. Afterwards, when you have tightened all the spokes, you check it. If it's the same, more or less, I'm at 2.3 millimeters, so for that 1 millimeter won't matter. But if the offset is much more than that, the wheel will be off-center in the bike. So how do you solve that problem? If the wheel, let's say, is too far to that side, you loosen up all these spokes and you tighten the other. So that way, when you loosen these and tighten the others, the wheel will travel to the other side. So you correct it one step at a time. You loosen half a turn, tighten half a turn, loosen half a turn, tighten half a turn, and that way you will shift the wheel, the wheel away from the hub to the other side. So after that you can start throwing. I didn't show you this, but it is an important step.
So the offset on the old wheel was 24 millimeters. With the new wheel we are at 23.
So now the wheel is completely through. What's left is mount it with the new tire, and then we can put it back in the bike. I always put in a new tube and a new strip to protect the inner tube from the nipples. One final job to the wheel is to replace the rear disc that we vapor blasted. These 4 bolts, just gonna put some thread locker on it and tighten them. It's 42 Newton meters, so I'll tighten them in by hand first and then finish off with the correct torque. I've also went ahead and installed a new bearing in here. Don't forget, this bearing is a different size inner diameter because it has an inner spacer. So new bearing and a new seal, of course. So that's the rear wheel looking like new, and as you can see I took the caliper off because it was dragging a bit, so while the parts were curing in the oven I took it out and cleaned it. I ordered new seals because this was the only seal left in the caliper. They left out the dust seal, so we'll have to wait for parts to get here so we can finish this off. As you could see, quite a bit of work, but the result is stunning. Brand new wheel, looking like it came from the factory. Hope you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more.